Personalizing student engagement is only possible when enrollment management and Marcom are aligned. At Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College, Ryan Hogan's team uses Element 451 to improve student outcomes.
They love the AI functions where if they're coming up with an email campaign, they can ask it to help develop something and then they go in and edit that. They also really enjoy the use of the landing pages for the campaigns that we build. So not only do we design emails and things, but we can also have landing pages that can give information to our students. And so it really brings the team together. So our enrollment staff is helping identify what the issue is, and then the marketing communication staff can collaborate with them in Element to provide the solution for the problem we're trying to solve.
Aligned teams create better experiences for students. Visit element451.com to learn how an AI-first student engagement platform fuels a smarter, more connected campus experience. Amanda Natividad is VP of Marketing for SparkToro and co-host of the podcast Meme Team. And today, we're going to talk about negative comments and trolling. Welcome to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. I'm Jenny Li Fowler, award-winning social media professional, author, and podcast host, and a recognized voice across the social media marketing industry. Social media managers are navigating the wild, ever-changing world of higher ed communications, and I'm here to share the real stories and lessons behind the posts. Each episode explores the challenges, strategies, and untold moments that come with running social media accounts in today's digital landscape. Let's get into it. Amanda, I am super excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm so excited to be here. I've been listening to your show and I like how much I learn, and it always feels like a nice, calm pace. So I think I'm here to disrupt that with my frantic energy today.
With chaos. No. Well, that's a huge compliment. Thank you so much. And no, this is going to be educational for a lot of us, I know. But first, I want to know, so you're a trained chef. So how do you go from, Le Cordon Bleu, I'm not sure if I said that right, to marketing?
I didn't mean to. I mean, marketing was it was a fallback plan. Mm. I mean, I was in a journalism job covering like tech and digital media. Mm-hmm. I was more of the behind the scenes, like editorial producer. And I liked my job. I really liked my colleagues, and it was fine. I worked with really, really great and nice people, really smart people. And I think that's why I stayed in that industry for as long as I did. But I was realizing that I was plateauing in terms of my skill set. And the reason that I was plateauing was I just wasn't doing more to level up. Part of it is the interest. I was kind of like, where I was kind of getting bored. But the reality was I was boring for the job. Meaning I wasn't trying harder to engage.
Oh, I gotcha.
And it was because I wasn't as interested,
It can be pretty repetitive, I think, sometimes when you're, you have the same beat or you're sort of telling similar stories.
Yeah, I think, but I think a big part of it too was I was young, I was like 24, 25. And so I didn't have a ton of life experience, so I think part of the boredom kind of came from that feeling of, okay, we're reading about all these tech companies, we're reporting on them, looking at these press releases, looking at stock prices, but I've never worked at one of these companies. I don't know what it's actually like to be there. I think a lot of it was kind of my youth and naivete around not really knowing how any of this really worked. And I think there was that part of me that was just really curious about that. So that's one piece. And so in that quest to kind of figure out what I, wanted to be doing, I realized a passion for food and started to think, oh, maybe I could become a food writer. And I learned that Le Cordon Bleu had at the time they had this shorter program where it was 1 year and it was, every day. It was like 4 or 5 hours a night. So it was long. But I could finish school in a year while keeping my full-time job. And I thought, you know what? I have some youth on my side. I'm still child-free and single, so I'm just going to do this because I'm never going to have the opportunity again.
Amazing.
So, yeah, so I did that, and it was a lot of fun. I was engaged in life in a way that I hadn't been before. Like, I was working kind of 9 to 5 in my day job. I was working remotely, very lucky too, and then would get dressed in my, my culinary outfit with my cravat and everything and hightail it over to school where I would spend the next, maybe like 5 hours cooking, getting screamed at, cleaning, go back home around midnight and do it all over again.
Just getting screamed at. So there is some of that bear lore or that we've learned from the bear, that there is a lot of screaming and yelling in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And yes, chefing and all of that
There's
stuff.
a lot of that. It's true. And a big part of it is because in a kitchen, it's really loud. Like all the vents are on. So you kind of have to yell for people to hear you. Vents are on. Dishes are being washed. People are moving around a lot.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, you do. You kind of have to yell. And then you know what? When food is hot and knives are sharp, you want to just be yelling out, behind you, be careful.
Oh, yeah,
turn the corner.
yeah. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
So you decided food writing wasn't the path, and then marketing came into play? Is that
kind of? Yeah. I mean, the next piece was I decided I wanted to be a food writer, but again, young and naive. I didn't do that much research into it. I just thought, well, if I get some experience and go to school and learn, then surely I can pivot my way into it. And I kind of realized quickly that there were a very finite amount of food writing jobs.
Oh.
Like, it's kind of just, there's like a couple. There's like LA Times, New York Times, Serious Eats, and like Eater. Like, that's it. And then at each publication, there's like 2 or 3 people on staff. So I was like, oh, wait, so I'm competing with like 18 people who are not going to leave their jobs anytime soon. I should have thought this through. And then from there, kind of decided, well, maybe I can use my background in tech and like figure something out. And so I started freelancing in social media because I was like, I got to figure out how to make some extra cash while I'm jobless. And at the time, right, social media was a lot simpler. Right, this was many years ago, and so social media was like a Facebook page,
right?
Like that was it.
Yeah,
maybe a Twitter account, and it was also the time in which you could kind of just post the same thing on both channels, and it kind of didn't matter.
Yes, yeah. It's gotten a lot more sophisticated since then, and there's an ugly side of it that has come into play, which we're going to talk about today. So trolling, and we all see it, but not all negative comments equal trolling, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes there's awkward phrasing or there's tone, right? Maybe someone doesn't actually mean to be rude. They are asking a question or just adding their own 2 cents.
Fair.
There's like it could be open to misinterpretation. But I do think a lot of times, even the people who are asking a question and saying genuinely curious, I don't think they're genuinely curious. I don't really think they're trolling either. I think they're thinking, I disagree and I have a point to make, but I'm going to see what you're going to say first. And then whatever. And it doesn't really matter what you say. They're going to hit back with, they're either not going to reply to you or they are going to reply to you and just be like, well, you're wrong. Like, this is what I think. And then what is the point?
And so, and that's not trolling per se. That's just more like a person that disagrees, right?
Yeah.
And is being annoying.
Yeah, and it's not quite trolling, right? It's just annoying.
I liked how you kind of put things in perspective, or at least for me in that it's kind of like we have to remind ourselves, hey, just not every negative comment equals like trolling as it is its own thing, right? And so we need, and especially as a social media manager, we need to sort of have a thick skin or start developing one, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I think so. And I think like the other thing too is you don't have to reply to everything.
Yeah, that's right. So, Amanda, why do you think as social media managers or content creators or marketers, why do we get so sensitive to negative comments that we see or read?
You know, I feel like it's sort of two sides of the coin here because on the other side of this coin, I think parasocial relationships form. And people who are following a favorite brand or creator, they feel that strong affinity or they feel like they're friends with that person. I feel like it's the other side of that feeling, which is you feel like it's happening to you. You know, like if you are posting on behalf of a brand or even just not even a brand, it could be yourself, but within a specific context, like in the context of work, for instance. And so this example, I'm using myself as an example where I am posting as myself, but I'm also posting usually within the B2B context of me talking to other marketers. And in some way that's a brand, right? Even though that is me. But like, I think when you are posting, like even just with that business purpose, right? It's hard not to take things personally because you're the one getting pinged with the replies. You're the one seeing the little red bubble in your social media app, and you're looking at it, and it's hard not to feel like all eyes are on you. And the other thing, and this is something that actually my friend Anne-Laure Leconf, she has said, you know, another thing here, and this is she was speaking more in the context of public speaking,
Okay,
where it's really hard, right? Because you're putting yourself in a position where everybody's looking at you. Literally, everyone's looking at you. And social media is a version of that. And if you even just trace this back to, you know, more Paleolithic times or even just more primitive times, right? It's all eyes of various animals staring at their prey. Like that fight or flight feeling, I think it's that predator versus prey feeling in the modern sense. Because it's not natural or normal to have like 50 pairs of eyes on you or thousands of pairs of eyes on you. There are a few situations in nature. There's no situation in nature where that's a good thing.
Right. But we're still visualizing, even though that might not be the reality, right? Just one negative comment doesn't mean there are 50 people staring at you, but
totally.
That's what we feel.
It's what we feel, or we see that like our post has like, when we can see the view count now, where it's like, oh, it says 106,000 impressions. Is that 106,000 people
Looking at me? Yeah.
Yeah, right. And
it's a good point.
So you're talking, so now, I mean, I'm glad you brought up like one comment because there's so many times that I'll see a tweet, a Threads post, whatever it is, LinkedIn post. I see it going viral, and we'll just say viral as in over 1,000 likes. You know, let's just call that a broad definition for this. You know, I'll see this, and so it'll have over 1,000 likes. You know, hundreds of comments, if not more, and then I'll see the person going viral. They'll have a follow-up post that's like, wow, didn't think so many people would be angry, or like, what hate here. And then I'm always curious when I see that. And then I go I go to the post and I scroll through the comments.
The comments, yeah.
Right. And I'm like, wait a second. All I see is positive, 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 agree, agree, agree. And then eventually at the very, very bottom, I find one, maybe two posts that are like, you're wrong. And I think, I mean, it's not the nicest comment to say, but like, okay, you have thousands of people agreeing with you, and one, maybe two people saying no. Because it also is pretty rarely like, oh, like I hate you, like burn in hell. That does happen for sure. It happens. It's not that common.
Right. It's just, I agree. So definitely we're blowing it out of proportion, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like in the same instance where, middle school or whatever, or office, whatever you want to say. And then, someone says, well, everyone is doing it, or everyone says that. And genuinely what I've learned as a grown up is that a lot of times when people say everybody, it means like one or two people tops, right?
Yeah.
And that sort of translates, the feeling that we get from that translates online, where it might be one negative comment, but everybody is not saying that. It's just one or two people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And just from a brand perspective, I think sometimes it's tough because we might be looking at the brand channel, but all of the criticism or the nasty comments do say the pronoun you in it. Like, shame on you, you are lying, you are joking. So sometimes as the person sitting there reading the comments, even though you are not the brand, when you keep on reading you, it's, I think, sometimes easy to take it personally as well.
Yeah.
So, which is a little bit different, but again, like, we have to put it into context, right? It's not you. We shouldn't be taking it personally. But that's hard not to do. So do you have any recommendations for us? How do we get over the bad comments quickly? Or just let it roll off our shoulders? How do we do that?
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing is, look, if you're doing anything remotely interesting online, you have to accept the fact that not everybody's going to like it, right? Not everybody's going to be fully on board. So that's one. It's just, look, you're not for everybody. Not everything is going to be a massive hit among everybody. It just isn't, and that's fine. I think the other thing is, I think it's important to figure out how you can toe the line between, hey, can I use this data point, or like, can I use this comment as information or as a learning experience? Because there are times, I am guilty of this too, where, where I'll just say where I've posted something tone deaf. And then a couple people replied and said, like, no, you're so wrong for this reason. Here, one example I thought of was a while back. I posted, I think this was during the pandemic, so a long time ago. I posted something that I thought was just tongue-in-cheek, like, if you have a Zoom background, I don't trust you, or like, it was something kind of silly like that, like, I don't trust you, like, what are you hiding? And then, I got some likes and stuff. And people were like, yeah, I know, right? Like, why? Like, we're all working from home. Come on. and I really just meant it,
right,
tongue in cheek.
Totally.
But somebody pointed out, like, actually, I think this is a bad take. Sometimes people have to blur out their background or cover it because they are self-conscious about the space they're in, or maybe they have other people in their house and they don't want them to be seen on camera. And I was like, oh, that's true. Like, oh, that person's right. And like, sure, like I meant to be playful and tongue in cheek, but also they were right with making that point.
It was a fair point. Yeah.
Totally fair. And I think that's a good example of something that is, we'll just call it a negative comment, but it wasn't trolling and it wasn't hurtful towards me. It was just, hey, this is a bad take. It's blunt, sure. But yeah, I took it as like, of course there's that reflexive feeling of like, are you talking badly to me?
Yeah.
But I was like, no, like, they actually are making a valid point, because it made me think twice about it. And then I ended up deleting my tweet because I was like, I don't need to die on this hill. Like, I agree with that. And okay. And noted.
And then you don't have to leave it out there.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone were to screenshot it and be like, hey, you said this in 2020, I'd be like, yeah, I did say that, and that was a bad take. Like, I was called out, and I agree. I didn't think about it.
There's someone that shared a different perspective. And I mean, that's why different perspectives are important and good, because we learn another view of, whatever it is, or whatever side, whatever opinion that's out there. So
I want to add to that, though.
Yes,
I think
please.
the other thing too is like, if you're seeing, let's say you are seeing 2 or more negative comments. We can say negative in a broad sense, right? But if you're seeing that, it is worth asking yourself, like, oh, do they have a point here? Now, if they're just saying, like, shut up, you suck, or like, shut up, nerd, which happens to me, like, often enough on Threads that I think twice about posting B2B content. But if they're just saying that, it's like, okay, that's not a valid opinion. But if it's stuff like, hey, I think this is a bad take for this reason, or no, you're wrong because of this, or what about this perspective? Like, you don't have to initially agree, but if those people are saying something with substance, it's worth considering and asking yourself, is this true? Do I see their point? Are they making a valid point?
Yeah.
And you also really shouldn't take it personally.
Yeah.
Right? My Zoom background example, the person said this is a bad take. They didn't say you're a bad person.
Right.
They said this is a bad take. And that was fair. And I think it's really important to just, even if that person did say you're a bad person, I still think it's important to try to rewire your brain to interpret it as they are saying this based on this text that they saw next to my face on the internet. Like, you cannot take this personally.
Yeah. I think that we should highlight that, right? And I think that the internet is a big enough place where, you know, we could all have a differing opinion on something, and that should be okay. I think if someone wants to disagree with something we posted on a brand or ourselves, I think that we should be open-minded to say, look, the internet is a big place. It's okay, right?
Totally. And then with that, you also don't have to reply to that if you don't want to.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah, you can take it and move on.
Yeah.
Right? You handle it however you want. Like, you can reply to that and be like, oh, noted, I appreciate the feedback. That could be that. You could message them and say, I appreciate the feedback. If you want to, you could apologize if you want to, right? But these are your decisions to make.
Right.
And even if somebody says that this is a bad take and you don't reply,
that's okay too.
Yeah, they're probably not thinking about you. You know, they probably forgot about it 20 minutes later anyway. So it's like, you don't have to be like, oh, okay, like mea culpa, like I really messed up. You could also just learn from it and move on.
I think yes, exactly. And the moving on thing is the important thing too, I think, instead of letting it dwell. I mean, that's when we can make out of 100 positive comments, the one negative might eat us up because we're just wired that way. But we need to learn how to unwire ourselves that way because it's just the world of social, right? And a one negative comment is no one's going to notice or say anything about that.
Yeah, no one's like fishing for the negative comments on your page. They're not.
Right. So real quick, listeners, if you are finding this conversation interesting or helpful, if you could rate and review this podcast, that would help me out a lot. So we've acknowledged sometimes it's just a stupid comment or someone just being gnarly, but sometimes it's beyond bad comments, right? And then we are getting into trolling territory. Can you kind of maybe define trolling? Because I feel like we all say it, but what is it exactly?
It is when somebody replies to you in such a way just to get a reply from you, like just to get a rise out of you. So it could be anything, and usually it tends to be inflammatory stuff, right? Where it's like insulting you, purposefully taking the worst possible interpretation and trying to use it against you, hateful. And I think when you're faced with it, ultimately you have two choices. That's it. You have two choices.
Okay.
One is you can ignore it, right? Just ignore it. Some people might say you can hide the reply. I usually don't personally because depending on the platform, maybe it's different now, but like on Twitter, for instance, if you hide a comment, then there's a little icon that shows up on your tweet that says this tweet has hidden comments.
Yep.
And so then you can click on it and see all the hidden ones.
I think that has changed.
Has that changed?
Now that you say it, I haven't seen that in a while.
And like Threads has that.
Okay.
So that's where I'm like, well, why hide it if you're just going to like create a second call to action on your post? So I just straight up ignore it. So your options are ignore it or use it. You can use it if you want to. And this is going to be like, it depends on you, it depends on your brand, if it's within brand guidelines, right? But in certain posts where I've had, a lot of people trolling me. And this one example I'm thinking of is I did this this was years ago. Mm-hmm. I did this Twitter thread that was shouting out or, suggesting people follow a bunch of people who are super like smart, talented at the top of their fields.
I think I remember that. Yeah, of course.
But they all happen to be women. And this was, the subtext was this is kind of in response to all the people who create these Twitter lists of people to follow, and it's all men.
Right.
So this was my response to that. And so, it went viral, and it was great because it went viral for the right reasons. Yeah. And then eventually people started trolling me or just rolling in with replies like, how could you not mention any men? Like, how dare you? And so in this case, because one, look, it's just me. It's my personal brand. So the person who has to deal with the stakes, that's just me. So I'm the only one bearing it. But two, my reason for trolling back is in service to the greater good. Like, it's in service to the mission of why I posted it. So people are like, how did you arrive at this conclusion that it's exactly whatever it was, like exactly 21 women here? And then I replied with like, I used PEMDAS, PEMDAS.
I think I remember that.
Right, or somebody.
I think I remember that.
Or somebody was like, I'm not going to read your garbage content, like get out of my feed, or something like, I'm not reading your trash. And I was like, oh, so true, bestie. Here's another thread you might hate. And I just like linked to another one of my old tweets.
Is that sort of like never waste a good crisis sort of moment?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can clap back in a very witty way. That's a way to do it. But, it like in itself, when you do receive that sort of trolling or, negative comments, it's kind of a weird. Now, might be a weird take, but it's kind of a reflection that you've succeeded. Or you've gotten a certain amount of attention and success with the content. And so, with the good will come the bad, right?
Yeah,
I feel like
true.
that always happens.
That's true. That's a really good call out. Because also on the flip side, it's if you're going viral for something that you feel passionately about or something that is core to your mission, that's a good thing.
Yes.
And so and take the win, do your victory lap. That's great. But if you're going to take the win, you got to be able to stomach the L's too. And
it's not even an L, I don't think. But
to get a couple comments here and there.
Yeah, but you have to be able to stomach them. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But you're getting trolled, or say you're trying to advise someone that's getting trolled and they've been a victim of this or maybe cyberbullying or some aspect of it. There are tools, right, within the platforms that they can take. They're not great, probably, but you can block them. You can mute things. You can mute words, right? You can mute. This was one thing I thought was really smart. You can mute emojis. Did you know that?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that, but
you can mute, say the clown emoji or whatever, the poop you can mute emojis or and you can report them as well, right?
Oh,
and you can report posts or report accounts for being maybe hateful or harmful or spreading misinformation, although the definition of that, each platform has its own definition. But I honestly think that we forget that we have those tools, and they are really helpful to a degree.
That's true. And I also think you can define your own rules for how you decide to block people. I know that sometimes we'll see people saying oh, this person blocked me when all I did was I just liked this tweet. And it's well, because you liked a tweet that was dunking on them and it's within their right to block you. Get over it.
Yeah.
It's you can block whoever you want. You don't have to explain yourself.
Yeah.
And I do think the people who are tweeting I got blocked, it's well, you deserve it. By virtue of you complaining about this publicly, it means you deserved it.
The fact that sometimes is a bragging right, I think is really funny. It sort of means you were being a jerk and you probably got blocked. But I do feel that we forget that those tools are at our disposal and we can use them to our advantage. It really helps, especially at times, as a brand manager, when there are just certain, like topics that you'll just get crushed on, and you just don't need to see all of the negative, I don't know, all of the negative, toxic comments. It helps to sort of mute words as well. I think it helps with your mental health quite a bit. Yeah. So I would advise using that for sure.
I agree. It's like, just at some point, like you got to create some boundaries for yourself and just don't look at it.
Yeah. If you were to talk to someone just going into social media or marketing or just content creation in general, when it comes to trolling and negative comments, what would you tell them, the advice you would give them?
I think the overall, like the top line advice I have is you have to figure out how to not care. Like you need to just get over it.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And that's what it boils down to. It doesn't mean that it's okay for people to do that. It's not. It doesn't mean that people should be abusive to you. Obviously they should not. It's just that it happens. And so you just have to figure out a way to not care about it, because otherwise it will eat you alive.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, it's like if you kind of let this eat you alive, what it boils down to is, so you're going to choose to have a shitty rest of your day because some faceless loser named Johnny Boy 69 called you ugly. Like who cares? There is that. You need to just figure out how to not care. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. I think that's just what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Maybe one other example I'll give was there was this time on Threads, maybe within the past year or so, where I was kind of dunking on someone's tweet or someone's Threads post.
Okay.
It was a post that just showed up on my feed. I didn't know the person.
Okay.
And they talked about outfit repeating, like their clothes.
Okay.
They said something like, you know what, I'm going to start like no more of buying all this new stuff, or just it was I'm going to start being an outfit repeater. Right? It was that. And then I quote reposted it with something like, why are we calling it outfit repeating when it's just literally wearing your clothes?
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah,
so
yeah.
I wasn't dunking on that individual human being. I just knew I saw enough where I saw that they were a big creator on Instagram or something. I think, mm-hmm. and by big, I mean, I think they had tens of thousands of followers.
Okay, yeah.
So, something like that, right? At the time I had 2,000 or 3,000 followers on Threads. So part of it too was I don't know, they're just they're a, moderately big creator.
Yeah.
And I was quote tweeting the post itself. I wasn't this idiot said this stupid thing and she's so dumb. I didn't say that. I just said why are we calling it outfit repeating when it's just literally wearing your clothes?
Right.
And then a bunch of people piled on with my tweet just saying, yeah, why are people calling, why is there a word for this? Or, you know what, all this excessive consumerism needs to stop. Or why don't people just wear their clothes anymore? It was all takes like that. And I was liking them, going yeah, I know, right? And then a couple other trolls maybe, we'll say people started rolling in with wow, it's so horrible for you to drag this person. And I was I'm not dragging the person. I don't know the person. I'm not
you
dragging
just had
her
a different perspective. I mean,
yeah.
Another take, right?
Yeah. And then someone else was oh, so you liking everyone's replies means you're not dunking on them? I'm what are you talking about? The replies are saying things like excessive consumerism is not good. That has nothing to do with this individual human being. And then I saw that eventually this person posted some follow-up posts that was oh, I was bullied on the internet. And then literally months later, she came out with an Instagram carousel post that was I got cyberbullied. It I thought it ruined my life, all because of this post. Here are some of the people that dunked on me. And I was in one of the screenshots. And then I didn't see it, but people started tagging me, and they were Amanda, this was you. And I was okay, you don't have to show this to me, you know? Like, okay. And then I replied to that person and said, like, hey, I'm glad you didn't stop creating.
Yeah.
But you also need to learn how to not take this personally, because this wasn't personal against you. And then, like, this person never replied to me. She also didn't block me. So I'm also like, what is your end game? Like, you're trying to grow a massive following, but you can't handle the slightest prickly tension.
Right. Or were you trying to play a victim or something?
Totally. Because she was like, I had to get off social media for a week. I wasn't sure if I could move on with my life. I almost stopped creating. And I was like, oh my goodness. All because you posted a take that we didn't agree with. Like, nobody was coming for you. Nobody was like doxing you. Nobody was posting your address and saying, hey, go get her. You know, like, this was not cyberbullying. This was, you had a take that we didn't like.
Yeah.
And you need to get over it.
Yeah.
I don't even remember this person's handle. Like, if you like pointed out their account to me today, I'd be like, I don't know who that is. Like, I no clue.
I think that's right. I think if you want any longevity in this business that has to do with the internet, you have to grow a thick skin, because there's that toxic part of it. You
Totally.
know, there's a great part of it. There's wonderful communities. There's, I feel like there's a lot of positivity and stuff to be learned and laughed at with together. You know, there's a lot of humor is what I'm saying. Lots to enjoy, but there's that part. So
yeah. I mean, what's funny is this person would have saved themselves a lot of heartache if anything, if they just replied to my quote tweet and said, LOL, that's not how I meant it.
Yeah.
I meant it like this. And then I would have replied back and been like, oh, haha. Like, get over it.
Yeah.
And then it's just, you know, it's sort of one thing if this person is like not really a creator. They had like 10 followers and they were like just a random person, right? And they're like, oh, I didn't like this. Like, that's different.
Right.
But it's like, no, and you are the person in the arena and you're creating content and you're making this like essentially your job, then like, do your job.
Right.
You can't cry every time somebody disagrees with you. So there is to develop a thick skin, but also be
professional.
Be professional.
Yeah.
And be like, I don't know what word I'm looking, but like social media literate enough to understand the difference between you personally getting dunked on and people hardcore disagreeing with your take.
Right.
Because those are two different things.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yes, that's something that should be differentiated and reacted to differently, treated differently, right? Well, I am going to do the opposite of trolling for your podcast, Meme Team. I discovered it recently. You're doing it co-hosting with Sonia Bashez, right?
Yeah, with Sonia Bashez.
You guys do such a great job and you have such great rapport. You find sort of memes or trends and you kind of talk about them, right?
Thank you. Thank you for this. I mean, like Sonia and I go through the trends, headlines. We see what's going viral, what's trending, or even what are the big misses. Mm-hmm. And we talk about what it means for business strategy or marketing strategy. So lately the topics have tended to be a lot around like crisis comms, social media fails. And funny enough, we've ended up talking a lot about nostalgia marketing, which kind of surprised us because we didn't arrive at this podcast thinking, let's talk about nostalgia. It's just that it's been a recurring theme as we've kind of kept an eye out on the happenings of the world.
Well, it's really fun to listen to you guys. And not only that, it keeps me abreast of everything that's been going on the internet in case I might have missed something. So I find it really educational too. Yeah, Meme Team for sure. I think everyone should check that out. And I can't let you leave, Amanda, without asking you, what is your confession?
My confession is, let's talk about AI, the LLMs. I think, more and more we're seeing this AI slop, not even just on blogs, but all over social media. It's at this point, like I can't find the actual citation for this, so I'm hesitant to repeat it. But I've seen a couple of different people on Twitter say it, which is some estimates have guessed that Twitter is now about 75% bots.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah. So I don't know how true that is, but I mean, now when I'm on Twitter, if I post something, it gets like maybe 10 likes, but also the only replies are usually from bots. So it's hard not to feel like that might be true. So anyway, sorry, my broader point was about AI, which is there is a lot of really cool stuff you can do with these generative AI tools. I think it's important to consider the ethical implications. Whether it's like considering like where is it pulling from, but also like what's the environmental impact I'm having. I think it's worth doing some education for yourself to understand like what the impact is, because I've kind of tried to dig into it. And there's a post from, I think it's from MIT. They did a long article on like the environmental impact of AI.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Thanks for following.
I need to reread it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like what I kind of landed on from that was my AI usage, and my confession is yes, I use it. It's quite small. Like the impact that I'm having is less than if I had a daily commute, substantially less. So it's also like, I think it's important to remember, like, look, don't just pillory anybody who says they use AI as like, oh, you're killing the environment, because maybe your commute is killing the environment, or all the vacations you take flying around, like that's worse. Like bigger picture, right?
Right.
There's that. I think it's smart to understand these tools, to learn how to use them, to see how they can make you better. But I also think you're a fool if you get caught. If you're using it to like to write all your emails for you, and you get caught if someone sees like just the way you've written it, like, hey, you use AI.
Yeah.
That's on you.
Right.
I do, because sometimes I'll use ChatGPT I'll copy and paste an email that I've received, like a cold pitch, and I'm like, hey, this is kind of a red flag to me, but do you think this is legit? Like, can you research this person or this company? And then like usually it'll return some pretty good results, and it'll say like, do you want me to help you with a response? And I'm like, yes. So then I look at it, but then I make it me. I'm like, okay, is this accurate? And then I redo it. And so like, I think that's a smart use of AI.
Yeah.
Don't blindly copy and paste and pass it off as your own.
I agree 100%. Like, don't forget the human touch, the human element. I think it's more important now because of how often AI is used.
You're right. Yeah, it has me thinking, like, I feel like I should embrace my typos more. Because I have typos all the time.
Yeah.
I used to, like, scan for them and be like, okay, is it perfect? But now I'm like,
Makes
maybe
it human.
Maybe I'll just leave it.
That's an interesting take. Well, Amanda, this was, I think, a very important conversation to have. So thank you so much for having it with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Jenny.
Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. This show is a proud member of the Enrollify network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow, so be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.